You're sitting quietly, doing nothing special, and suddenly your mind starts playing a scene that hasn't happened but feels real. Maybe it's a conversation where you finally say everything you couldn't say before. Maybe it's a future where everything works out perfectly. Or sometimes it's the opposite, a situation where everything goes wrong, where people judge you, reject you, misunderstand you. And the strange part is, your body reacts to these imagined moments as if they're actually happening. Your chest tightens, your mood shifts, your energy changes, all because of something that exists only inside your mind. If you've ever caught yourself doing this, replaying scenarios, creating conversations, imagining outcomes over and over again, you might have wondered, why does my brain do this? Because it doesn't feel random, it feels automatic. Psychologically, this habit is deeply connected to how the brain tries to prepare you for the world. Your mind is not just designed to react to reality, it's designed to simulate it. This ability is part of what makes humans intelligent. Before making decisions, the brain runs what-if scenarios to predict possible outcomes. It's a survival mechanism. Long before modern life, this helped humans anticipate danger, plan actions, and avoid mistakes. But in today's world, where most threats are social and emotional rather than physical, that same system starts focusing on conversations, judgments, and future possibilities. Instead of imagining how to escape danger, your brain starts imagining how people might respond to you, how situations might unfold, and what could go wrong or right. The problem is, this system doesn't always know when to stop. For many people, imagining fake scenarios becomes a way to process emotions that weren't fully expressed in real life. Maybe you stayed quiet in a moment where you wanted to speak. Maybe something bothered you, but you didn't react at the time. So later, your mind replays the situation and gives you a second chance to respond. You say what you wish you had said. You imagine the other person understanding you, or sometimes arguing back. These imagined conversations create a sense of temporary relief, as if you're completing something unfinished. But because it's not real, the relief doesn't last. The mind comes back again, trying to resolve it once more. There's also a strong connection between this habit and the need for control. Real life is unpredictable. You can't control how people respond, what they think, or how situations turn out. But inside your mind, everything is under your control. You can replay a moment as many times as you want. You can change the outcome. You can imagine the perfect version of yourself, confident, articulate, in control. Or you can prepare for the worst-case scenario so it doesn't catch you off guard. In this way, imagining scenarios becomes a psychological space where uncertainty feels safer. It gives the illusion that you're preparing, even when nothing is actually happening. Another reason this pattern becomes so common is because of emotional intensity. The more something matters to you, the more your mind returns to it. If you care deeply about your future, your relationships, or how people perceive you, your brain will naturally spend more time simulating those areas. This is why people who imagine scenarios are often not careless or disconnected. They're usually the opposite. They're thoughtful, they're aware, they think deeply about situations. But that same depth can turn into over-processing, where thinking doesn't lead to action, it just keeps looping. Interestingly, your brain doesn't clearly separate imagination from reality when it comes to emotional response. When you imagine a stressful situation, your body can release stress signals. When you imagine a positive outcome, you can feel temporary motivation or happiness. That's why these scenarios feel so immersive. But it also means you can exhaust yourself emotionally without anything actually happening in real life. You can feel drained after a long session of overthinking, even though you haven't done anything physically demanding. Your mind has been active, running simulations over and over again. Over time, this habit becomes automatic. Small triggers, like a message, a memory, or even a random thought, can start a chain reaction. One thought leads to another, and before you realize it, you're deep inside a full imaginary scenario. Minutes pass, sometimes even hours, and when you come back to reality, there's often a sense of lost time or a quiet frustration with yourself for getting pulled in again. But this isn't about lack of discipline, it's about how your brain has learned to deal with uncertainty, emotion, and unfinished thoughts. The important thing to understand is that imagining scenarios is not inherently bad. In fact, it's a powerful ability. It's the same mental system used for creativity, problem solving, and planning. The difference is how it's used. When it's intentional, it helps you prepare and think clearly. But when it becomes automatic and repetitive, it starts to drain your energy instead of helping you move forward. The goal is not to stop your mind from imagining completely. That's impossible. The goal is to reduce how much control these thoughts have over you. One of the most effective ways to do that is by bringing awareness to the moment it starts. Not after you've already been thinking for 20 minutes, but right at the beginning. The moment you notice yourself entering a scenario, simply recognizing it, this is just a thought, not reality, can weaken its hold. Another powerful shift is redirecting that mental energy into action, even if it's something small, because action breaks the loop that imagination keeps repeating. When your brain sees real movement, it has less need to simulate. It also helps to accept that not every situation needs to be mentally solved in advance. Some conversations will be imperfect, some outcomes will be uncertain, and that's part of real life. When you stop expecting yourself to predict everything perfectly, the pressure to constantly simulate scenarios starts to decrease. Your mind begins to trust that you can handle things as they come, instead of needing to rehearse them endlessly beforehand. So if you often find yourself lost in imagined conversations, future situations, or alternate realities, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your mind is active, imaginative, and trying to protect you in its own way. The key is learning when to let that system work for you and when to gently step out of it. Because real progress doesn't happen inside imagined moments. It happens in the small actions you take in reality. And now I'm curious, when you catch yourself imagining scenarios, are they usually positive ones where everything goes right, or negative ones where things go wrong? Let me know in the comments.